Today, let's dive into the fascinating yet tragic story of the RMS Titanic. The Titanic was a British ocean liner that set sail on its maiden voyage from Southampton, England to New York City on April 10, 1912. It was hailed as the largest and most luxurious ship of its time, boasting opulent first-class accommodations that were the epitome of comfort and luxury. Imagine a gymnasium, a swimming pool, fine dining restaurants, and even a Victorian-style Turkish bath. This ship had it all, yet, despite its grandeur, the Titanic's story is one of immense tragedy. On the night of April 14, 1912, disaster struck. The ship collided with an iceberg, leading to the deadliest maritime disaster of its time. Out of the estimated 2,224 passengers and crew on board, 1,496 lost their lives. It's a haunting number that reflects the sheer scale of the catastrophe. The Titanic was not just a vessel for the wealthy elite. It also carried hundreds of emigrants from Europe seeking a new life in the United States and Canada. This mix of passengers created a microcosm of society aboard the ship, from the opulent first-class cabins to the more modest third-class accommodations. Now let's talk about the ship's safety features. Titanic was equipped with watertight compartments and remotely activated watertight doors, which led many to believe it was unsinkable. Ironically, this reputation may have contributed to the tragedy, as it led to a sense of complacency. The ship had 16 lifeboat davits, each capable of lowering 3 lifeboats, allowing for a total of 48 lifeboats. However, it actually carried just 20 lifeboats, enough to accommodate only 1,178 people, about half of those on board. When the ship began to sink, many of the lifeboats were launched only partially filled, leaving precious space empty in the face of disaster. The disaster led to major overhauls in maritime safety regulations, including the requirement for sufficient lifeboats for all passengers and the establishment of the International Ice Patrol to monitor iceberg dangers in the North Atlantic. Captain Edward John Smith, the ship's commander, went down with the ship, as did Thomas Andrews Jr., the chief naval architect of the shipyard that built the Titanic. Let's dive into the engineering marvel that this ship truly was. Titanic's propulsion was supplied by 3 main engines, 2 reciprocating 4-cylinder triple-expansion steam engines, and 1 centrally placed low-pressure Parsons turbine, each driving a propeller. The 2 reciprocating engines had a combined output of 30,000 horsepower, while the steam turbine contributed an additional 16,000 horsepower. The White Star Line had previously used this combination of engines on an earlier liner, Laurentic, where it had been a great success. This setup provided an optimal balance of performance and speed. Reciprocating engines alone were not powerful enough to propel an Olympic-class liner at the desired speeds, while turbines, though powerful, caused uncomfortable vibrations. By combining reciprocating engines with a turbine, the Titanic achieved reduced fuel usage and increased motive power, all while using the same amount of steam. The 2 reciprocating engines were each 63 feet long and weighed 720 tons, with their bed plates contributing an additional 195 tons. They were powered by steam produced in 29 boilers, 24 of which were double-ended and 5 single-ended, containing a total of 159 furnaces. These massive boilers were 15 feet 9 inches in diameter and 20 feet long, each weighing 91.5 tons and capable of holding 48.5 tons of water. To fuel these furnaces, the Titanic carried 6,611 tons of coal in its bunkers, with an additional 1,092 tons in Hold 3. The furnaces required over 600 tons of coal per day, which had to be manually shoveled by 176 firemen working around the clock. This work was relentless, dirty and dangerous, and despite the relatively good pay, there was a high suicide rate among those who worked in this capacity. Exhaust steam leaving the reciprocating engines was fed into the turbine, situated aft, and then passed into a surface condenser. This increased the turbine's efficiency and allowed the steam to be condensed back into water and reused. The engines were directly attached to long shafts that drove the propellers. The Titanic had 3 propellers, 1 for each engine. The outer propellers were the largest, each with 3 blades of manganese-bronze alloy and a total diameter of 23.5 feet. The middle propeller was slightly smaller at 17 feet in diameter and could be stopped but not reversed. Titanic's electrical plant was capable of producing more power than an average city power station of the time. Located immediately aft of the turbine engine were 4 400-kilowatt steam-driven electric generators providing electrical power to the ship. Additionally, 2 30-kilowatt auxiliary generators were available for emergency use. Their location in the stern of the ship meant they remained operational until the last few minutes before the ship sank. Let's delve into a crucial yet often overlooked aspect: Titanic's wireless communication system. Titanic's radio telegraph equipment, then known as wireless telegraphy, was leased to the White Star Line by the Marconi International Marine Communication Company. The Marconi Company also supplied 2 of its employees, Jack Phillips and Harold Bride, as operators. These operators maintained a 24-hour schedule, primarily sending and receiving passenger telegrams or marconigrams, but they also handled vital navigation messages, including weather reports and ice warnings. The radio room was strategically located on the boat deck within the officers' quarters. Adjacent to the operating room was a soundproofed silent room, which housed loud equipment, including the transmitter and a motor generator used for producing alternating currents. The operators' living quarters were conveniently situated next to the working office, ensuring they were always on call. Titanic was equipped with a state-of-the-art 5-kilowatt rotary spark gap transmitter. Carrying the wireless telegraph call sign MGY, communication was conducted in Morse code. This transmitter was one of the first Marconi installations to use a rotary spark gap, giving Titanic a distinctive musical tone that could be readily distinguished from other signals. With its powerful transmitter, Titanic could broadcast over a radius of 350 miles, making it one of the most advanced systems of its time. An elevated T-antenna spanning the length of the ship was used for both transmitting and receiving signals. The normal operating frequency was 500 kHz or 600 meters wavelength. However, the equipment could also operate on a short wavelength of 1000 kHz or 300 meters, used by smaller vessels with shorter antennas. The wireless communication system was not just a luxury for the passengers, but also a lifeline at sea. It played a pivotal role in the events of that fateful night, ensuring that distress signals were sent out and received by nearby ships, ultimately saving lives. Understanding Titanic's wireless communication system gives us a deeper appreciation for the technological advancements of the time and their significant impact on maritime safety. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more intriguing historical insights.